Welcome. Let's begin in a comfortable seat. You might sit on a blanket or block or in whatever position feels comfortable to you. And you might close your eyes and just start to tune in to how your body feels right now. Notice areas that might feel tight or tense. Notice any sensation moving through your body. And as you notice maybe tension, tightness, or even discomfort, sort of explore how that sensation feels. And then begin to tune into your breath. Notice where you feel your breath in your body. You might feel it more in the belly or the chest. And then send your breath into the area of your body where you noticed you were experiencing the most tension or tightness or discomfort. Filling that area of your body with your breath, your prana, your life force. And as you exhale, invite a softening, a releasing. Very gentle. Breathing into the area, filling that area with your breath. And as you exhale, just inviting that area to soften and release. And then just let your breath come back to a natural rhythm. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes. So as you inhale, reach your arms out and up. And as you exhale, bring your hands down to your heart. Remember, this is your practice. Listen to your body, listen to your breath, and find variations as you need to. Again, inhale, reach your arms out and up. Exhale, bring your hands down to your heart. Maybe thinking of something you're grateful for or appreciate. And then inhale, open your arms wide. And exhale, lower your right hand down. Inhale, reach up with your left arm and take a side bend as you exhale, going over to your right. Choose your gaze. You might look up, straight ahead, or you might release your neck and look down. Find whatever variation feels best to you. On your next inhale, come back up. Lower your left hand down. Inhale, lengthen up through your right side, and then side bend over to your left. Find your variation that feels best to you. Notice how this feels. On your next inhale, come back upright. Nice tall spine. As you exhale, twist to your right and lower your hands and arms down wherever they make sense to you. Remember never to force your way into any twist. And keep that spine nice and tall. On your next inhale, unwind, come back to center. And exhale, twist to your left, lower your hands and arms down wherever it feels best to you. And you might notice if one side is feeling a little easier to twist towards than another. Notice how your breath feels in this twist. On your next inhale, unwind, come back to center, and lower your hands down. Let's transition into table pose. Hands and knees. Lengthen through your spine. Gently press into your hands so you feel a slight engagement in your upper back and shoulders. And then inhale, draw your heart forward, come into your cow. And exhale, draw your belly and look to your knees for cat. And continue with your breath. Inhale, cow, exhale, cat. Notice how this feels. And then come back to neutral table and find any organic movement that feels good to you. So you might move your hips or shoulders in a certain way. Just find any movement that your body is wanting. And then we're into a child's pose. So widen your knees, toes touch or slightly separate if you prefer. Sit your hips back towards your heels. And make sure your head is supported and it feels comfortable. So if you would like, you can always use your hands or a block to support your head if the head doesn't make it comfortably to the mat. Arms might be bent, or you might straighten the arms. So find your variation that works best for you. Hips may or may not make it all the way to your heels. That's okay. Make sure your knees feel comfortable. Notice your breath. And then lift your head and bring your right arm closer to your right knee. And you can set the block aside if you were using it. And reach your left hand towards the right corner of your mat. So your left arm is straight. You can keep your neck neutral, or if you prefer, you could rest your forehead on your hand if the floor doesn't, or your hand doesn't feel too far away. And notice that stretch in the shoulders and the left arm and the side body. And then inhale, bring your left arm in so that your left elbow is close to your left knee. Left forearm stays on the mat. And reach your right hand towards the left corner of your mat. Keep your right arm straight. As you reach your right arm forward, you're going to feel a stretch along the right side. And again, just keeping your neck neutral or resting your head on your hand. And as you stretch and reach your fingertips of your right hand forward, you can deepen the stretch if you want. And then bring that right arm back and bring yourself all the way onto your belly. Bring yourself into a Sphinx pose. Elbows just about under your shoulders. Lengthen through your spine. And as if you're trying to pull yourself forward with your forearms and hands, press gently into your mat with your hands and forearms. It's an isometric movement, as if you're trying to pull yourself forward on your mat. And it should feel like you're inviting space in between your vertebrae, especially out of the low back. You can press into the tops of your feet and engage the muscles in your upper back and shoulder girdle, as if you're trying to draw your heart forward. Really think of creating space in the low back. And look just straight down onto your mat, maybe in between your thumbs or towards the top of your mat. Gently drawing the lower ribs away from the mat. So you're lengthening out of the vertebrae of the low back. And then lower down onto your belly. Bring one hand, then the other under your shoulders. Elbows point towards your feet. Inhale, push yourself up into table pose. Pause here. Lengthen through your spine. And then tuck your toes and reach your hips up and back for downward facing dog. Find your variation. You might pedal your feet. You might have your hands on blocks or a chair. Listen to your body, what variation it needs today, and notice how this feels. And then walk your feet towards your hands. Come up halfway, maybe hands on the tall setting of the blocks. Lengthen through your spine, drawing your belly in slightly to protect the low back. Maintain that length in your spine, and then bend your knees slightly and hinge from your hips to come into a forward fold. Uttanasana. Hello to those hamstrings. Bring your weight a little more into the balls of your feet. And then on your next inhale, come up halfway once more. Nice long spine. You might bend your knees a little bit and bring your hands to your thighs and look forward. Inhale, come all the way up. Press into your feet as you reach your arms up. Urdhva Hastasana, upward arms. And then exhale, hands to your heart. Samastiti, equal balance pose. And then release your hands by your side and come into mountain pose, Tadasana. You might lift your toes, spread your toes, and then lower them back down. Ground into all four corners of your feet. Lift your inner arches as you hug your outer ankles in. And then take the fronts of your thighs gently back as you take your tailbone or your sits bones towards the earth. Lengthen the side body and invite a sense of openness across your heart. Lengthen the back of your neck as you gently lift your chin. And as you ground down through your feet into the earth, rise up all the way through the body, through the crown of your head. Steady as a mountain. And notice your breath. And then relax. Take a wide stance. Start with your feet parallel. And from here, turn your right foot away from you towards the short end of your mat and bend your right knee. Preparing for warrior two, you might adjust your back foot slightly. And make sure your front knee is just about over your front ankle. And allow your hips to come a little bit at an angle. And have that sense of openness across your heart as you extend your arms out about shoulder height. Gaze softly over your right fingertips. And press into your feet, grounding down into the earth. And you might imagine that your mat is like a sheet of ice and you didn't want to slip. And so you're isometrically drawing your feet towards each other, and you'll feel those inner adductors turn on. A few more breaths here. And then inhale, straighten your legs, lower the arms, and turn your right foot in. From here, turn your left foot towards the short end of your mat and bend your left knee. Preparing for warrior two on the other side. Adjust your feet where it feels stable. Ground into the front foot as well as the outer edge of the back foot. Make sure that front knee is stable and the knee in line with your ankle. Notice the position of your hips and shoulders, and extend your arms out about shoulder height and gaze softly over your front fingertips. Breathe here. Feel the stability in your feet and legs. And again, that isometric action is if your mat was a sheet of ice and you're trying to draw those feet towards each other. So you can feel that action energetically drawing into the midline. You'll feel those adductors turn on. It's just a very slight action. You don't have to do this with a lot of effort. And then inhale, straighten that front leg, lower your arms and turn that left foot in. You may want your blocks at this point. So you might want to just reach for your blocks and then position them in front of you. And then again, make sure your feet are just about parallel. Hands on your hips. Take an inhale, lengthen through your spine as you hinge forward. Hands to your blocks. Press into your feet. Hips just about in line with your ankles, coming into Prasarita Padottanasana, wide leg forward fold. You can either stay here in this halfway lift or hinge from your hips and come a little deeper. Feeling those hamstrings turn on. Find your variation. Just keep that spine nice and long. Draw your belly in to protect the low back. Think of lengthening out of the low back. And then we're going to come into a twist. So place your left hand either on fingertips or a block, just about under your nose. Keep your spine long and extend your right arm out to the side and twist to your right. Keep your legs strong and the spine long. Breathe here. Think of expanding out in opposite directions through your arms as well as your spine. On your next exhale, slowly lower your right hand down. Replace it where your left hand was. And then left arm reaches out, twist to your left. Again, keep that spine long. And slowly on your next exhale, lower that left hand down. Pause here. You can either stay in this halfway lift or maybe come a little deeper for a few breaths. Listen to your body and what would feel best to you. And just an option if you want to support your head. Keep your hands on the mat, but you might position the blocks in such a way that you can easily rest your forehead on the blocks. Just make sure your hands are still helping to support you. Legs are strong. Thighs are drawing up the kneecaps if your legs are straight. Belly is slightly drawn in to protect the low back. And then on your next inhale, come up halfway. Start to look more forward. Engage your core. Come up slightly and then exhale, hands to your hips, look forward. And then inhale, slowly come all the way back up. And then heel, toe, heel, toe. Bring your feet back into a Tadasana and pause. Notice sensation. And then make your way back into table pose on your mat. And come into one more downward facing dog. Hips up and back. Notice how this down dog feels. Draw your belly in slightly. Bend your knees as much as you need to. And reach your hips up and back as you take your heart towards your toes. And then lower your knees down and come to a seat. Bring your legs out in front of you. Have a strap handy. Bend your left knee and keep your right leg straight. Take that left foot across your right leg and let your left sits bone come slightly forward. So your hips have already started to go slightly to the right. Take your right hand behind you. Left hand stays either on your left knee or it might come on the lower left foot, whatever feels comfortable to you. Nice tall spine. And then exhale, twist to your right. Keep your right leg active, right toes towards the sky. Invite that sense of openness across your heart. And then on your next inhale, unwind and bring your left foot to the inside of your right leg. If your left knee complains, you might use a prop under your left knee, or you might position your left foot closer to your right knee. Find what feels best to you. And we'll come into Janu Shirsasana. So an option here might be to use the strap around the ball of your right foot. This can help keep that spine nice and long. And you can wrap your hands around the strap if you'd like. And as you hinge from your hip crease, imagine your heart is going towards your right foot, almost like a little baby back bend in your upper back. And if your hands get tired holding the strap, you can always release it and just have your hands on either side of that right leg. You can think of leading with your heart. And just make sure knees are happy here. On your next inhale, come back upright. Pause for a moment, just notice sensation. And then straighten that left leg out. I've got to put socks on. My toes are a little cold. The heat's not quite making it to my toes. And then we'll do the other side. Bend your right knee and take your right foot to the outside of your left leg. Let your right sits bone come slightly forward. Left hand goes behind you for support. And the right hand might stay on the right knee, or you might bring it on the inside of your lower right leg. Sit up nice and tall. Keep your left leg active, left toes towards the sky, and twist to your left. spine is nice and long. Take another breath here. And on your next inhale, unwind and bring that right foot to the inside of your left leg. Right foot either near your knee or near your upper thigh. And again, if the knee complains, you might use a prop under that right knee. Make sure it feels happy. Again, you might use your strap around the left foot, holding it where it makes sense to you. Lengthen through your spine, hinge from your hip crease to come forward, draw your heart towards your left foot. You can let your belly go towards your thigh. Keep the spine long rather than rounded, protecting the low back. You can draw the belly in just slightly. Focus on lengthening rather than rounding the spine. And hands wherever they make sense to you. You can also just hold the lower leg or your foot instead of using the strap. And you might notice how one side you're able to go maybe a little deeper than the other. One side might feel easier than the other. Just notice the differences. And then slowly come back upright. Straighten your legs out in front of you. You can set the strap aside. And we're going to make our way down onto our back. I'm going to open up a blanket to lay on. It's totally up to you if you would like to do the same. It just makes it a little cozier. So come on down onto your back in constructive rest. Knees bent, feet flat on your mat. And just pause here. Relax the low back. Relax your belly. Draw one knee in towards one armpit and then the other. Hold each knee with each hand. Drawing your knees towards the armpits, toes close together. And notice that stretch in your low back. Should feel pretty good. And we're going to come into a supine twist. So you might again want to have a block handy and maybe a blanket. So start in constructive rest. Knees are bent, feet flat on the mat. Press into your feet, lift your hips and take your hips slightly to the right, just a couple inches. Lift your knees towards your chest and then take your knees over to the left, maybe onto a blanket, and place a block in between your knees. That helps stabilize the sacrum and the low back. Arms by your side, maybe gaze to the right. Arms can be in a T shape or bent, whatever's comfortable. And relax here. Make sure this feels comfortable. Take one more breath here. And then inhale the head to neutral. Remove any block between the knees. Inhale the top leg up and then the other leg. Lower your feet. Press into your feet, lift the hips back to neutral. And then press into your feet again. Move the hips over to your left. Bring your knees towards your chest. If you need to, switch the blanket over to the other side. Lower your knees onto that blanket towards the right and place that block in between your knees. Arms out where they're comfortable for you and gaze softly to the left. Relax your spine. On your next inhale, bring your head to neutral. Remove any block from between the legs. Inhale your knees back up. Lower your feet to the mat. Lift your hips, realign your spine, and then find your way into your Shavasana. So whatever position you would like to be in for your Shavasana, make sure you feel you're comfortable, warm enough. And as you settle in for your resting pose, invite your whole body to be soft and relaxed. Letting your legs be heavy and soft. Notice your hips, and letting your hips relax and release. Relax your whole back, envisioning space between each vertebrae. Soften your shoulders and arms. Soften your belly. Soften the area around your heart. And let your head be heavy. Soften all the muscles in your face, especially around your eyes. And let go. Gently bring your awareness back to being on your mat. Notice your body and any sensations flowing through your body. Notice your breath and how it moves through your body. And observe your mind. And whenever you feel ready, begin to make small movements. Wiggle fingers, toes, whatever would feel good. And eventually bend one knee and then the other. Maybe drawing the knees towards your chest. Give yourself a little hug. And then roll over to your right side or whichever side you prefer. And when you feel ready, make your way back up to a comfortable seat. And with appreciation for your efforts and your focus, bring your hands together at your heart in Anjali Mudra. The light in me sees and honors the light in each of you.
Namaste.